Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. The SEC is now claiming that XRP holders only want to sell their XRP at a profit, implying that XRP holders are greedy and also that there's no other purpose for XRP beyond speculation. In fact, the SEC is denying that there's any actual real-world utility of XRP. So there you go. We're all a bunch of greedy speculators out there. Well, I'm not actually. I want to sell my XRP at a loss. There you go. No, I do not. But the logic doesn't follow, and I can't wait to rip into this. I've also got opinions from two lawyers within the XRP community that have commented on this topic, and there's just a whole bunch to say. There's some hot takes in this. And it's gonna be a good time in this latest Moon Lambeau hot jam. But before we go any further, I do want to be clear that I don't have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who makes YouTube videos as a very fun hobby about Ripple and XRP and crypto-related topics, and that is indeed all that it is. And so, this is a fun way to kick it off, actually. Somebody tweeted out this story, just this one from you today that I'm going to dig into first here, titled, SEC claims XRP holders want to cash out their tokens at a profit. And so attorney John Deaton, I'm sure many of you are aware of him at this point. I'm sure that I would suspect the vast majority. So I'm going to assume I don't need to do any sort of additional introduction there. But he saw this. And it's just, understandably, it was kind of upsetting, right? Because it's offensive the way that the SEC approaches everything. It as I say frequently when I talk about them, they're not being honest. They're absolutely being disingenuous, and it's very clear they're not utilizing actual logic. And so John wrote the following: XRP holders, I need help. I don't know how to address or counter this SEC argument without coming off sarcastic and rude. I don't blame you, man. He writes, every time I start to write a response, words like dumb, idiotic, moronic, and imbecilic keep coming up. Maybe I should just ignore. No, I say just write it up and just include it all. If anything, you know what? Maybe I should offer to just like just take whatever you come up with, just the complete raw thing with all the dirty words you can possibly imagine. I'll filter them out for you and send it back, because I understand. No, I feel the same way. Like I feel like when I'm reading a lot of these documents that the SEC actually files, I feel like they're insulting my intelligence. Not that they know that I exist, but I'm just saying, like the intelligence of the typical XRP holder. How stupid do they think that we are that we're going to believe the nonsense that they're spouting here? And so into the piece now. In his March 26th letter to federal judge Annalisa Torres, Jorge Tenrero, a senior trial attorney at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, urges the court to prevent XRP holders from intervening in the Ripple case. Allowing their intervention would result in, quote, confusion and, quote, unmanageable complexity. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's for the SEC, it's actually, I want to say that it's completely nonsense, but maybe it's not for them. I don't think that they over at the SEC are capable of walking and chewing gum at the same time. I am not convinced. Prove me wrong, SEC. The ball is in your court. Oh yeah, well I can do the walking and the chew gum stuff. It's just this other stuff though. It's a little unmanageable, and it's a high level complexity with and then there's interveners, and then you guys are asking for a whole bunch of documents, and it's just when we transfer our files, we still use the floppy disks, and then the data, it's like 11 billion terabytes, and we can't move it by floppy disks very fast, and so it becomes unmanageable. Okay, thank you, wimpy SEC, man. I see where you're coming from right now. It's making a whole bunch of sense now. Burns my biscuits. According to the SEC, XRP investor Vladi Zakhanov, who filed a class action lawsuit against Ripple in June 2018, would also need a seat at the table, together with other holders who allege that the company was selling the token as an unregistered security. And here's a quote. Moreover, if the court permitted movements to intervene, all other XRP holders, including a large class of XRP investors who have already sued defendants Ripple Labs, for unregistered offers and XRP securities would likely seek to intervene too. Well, hey, if they want to try it, go for it. But I think it's a matter of fact that those individuals, even if they try to intervene, they do not share the same interests of the 10,000 plus XRP holders that signed on with John Deaton, stating, hey, SEC's harming us. We just want some clarity around what XRP is because clearly it's not a security right now. So they're coming from a completely different camp. So if you want to pretend like they're all the same, then you can, Mr. SEC man, but that doesn't make any sense. So, and then there's the speculative trading. Then I'm going to get into some more opinions from a couple lawyers here, including John Deaton. Tenrero claims that John Deaton, who filed his pre-motion letter last week on behalf of 10,000 XRP holders, is primarily motivated by potentially selling tokens to other investors at a profit. And here's a quote. Movement's primary motivation appears to be to reinstate speculative trading of XRP on digital asset platforms so that Movement may sell XRP to other investors at a profit. So that's all that it is. Look, and I mentioned this in a video the other day, so I'll be super brief on this one point, though, but I got to mention this. If XRP can't be traded on cryptocurrency exchanges, it's not going to be possible in any sort of reasonable way to grow the XRP ecosystem because new people won't be introduced to it, and developers will have less of incentive to build on top of the XRP ledger. That's just a matter of fact. And so speculation, it comes with the territory, but what on earth is not speculated about? There's all sorts of stuff that's speculated about, which I'll talk about more actually in just a minute. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but that line of thinking from the SEC does not make sense. This is just more of their Chewbacca defense nonsense. Seriously. And a Wookiee living on Endor, like what the hell is even going on there? The world has turned upside down. And so John Deaton, he wrote the following, and he shared a little screen grab, which I'll be highlighting as well. He wrote, I have been warning the crypto community that the SEC versus Ripple case is a threat to all crypto since I filed the writ of mandamus on January 1st, 2021. Now we have absolute proof of what I've been warning. Read the SEC's objection to our pre-motion letter. And so he uploaded the screen grab, which reads in part, I'm just going to read the part that he highlighted in yellow here. Here you go. Losses. So noting that investor losses due to, quote, delisting and or halting trading of XRP, end quote, on digital asset trading platforms, which is proof that defendants offered and sold XRP as a speculative investment, but an improper basis to seek to intervene in this case. Which to me is just completely offensive. There's so much more to it than that, obviously. And so then John Deaton continued, and he wrote, the SEC makes the absurd claim that because some XRP holders purchased XRP as a speculative investment and it's traded in secondary markets on digital asset trading platforms, and that is proof that Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, and Chris Larson offered and sold XRP as an investment contract. Think about that. The fact that XRP is speculated on, he's saying that the SEC is actually arguing just the fact that it's speculated on is proof that XRP represents an investment contract, represents a security. And then John continues, I guess nobody buys Bitcoin or Ether or any other digital asset as a speculative investment. Sorry, I must be wrong, and if the SEC gets to shut down Ripple and XRP, I'm sure the SEC will stop there. And so, yes, the sarcasm, which is well placed, is definitely oozing out, and I love that, because I feel exactly the same way. Let's expand upon that a little bit. I think I wanted to go... Yeah, check this out. So, an XRP community member named Massimo went ahead and responded to John Deaton and wrote the following exactly on this topic. What is not a, quote, speculative investment, end quote, if I may ask? That's a bogus line right there. We are in an environment where there is no price discovery and earnings do not matter, thanks to their buddies, the Fed. And so I think that's a pretty good point. What is not a speculative investment? So you're telling me if somebody buys gold, they're not counting on it to appreciate in terms of price? You know? So precious metal's one example, but what if you buy a commodity that you're actually not even going to use yourself? You're just speculating that it's going to be worth more, right? There's all sorts of stuff that you can buy that you just hope appreciates in price relative to the United States dollar or whatever your fiat currency of choice may be. But that in and of itself, of course, cannot logically make it a security. It's a horrible argument. It is an absolutely horrendous argument that doesn't make sense. It's just more of the Chewbacca defense. And so John Deaton responded to that and wrote the following. The SEC lawyers are in litigation mode and are driven by winning the case or the current argument and are not being driven by its mission statement. The SEC trial lawyers may not have a choice in the case they are told they must prosecute, but they are in control of what they say. Yeah, exactly. So they may not be in charge of whether or not they had to take on this job of defending the SEC, and maybe they're begrudging the situation that they're in. I wouldn't blame them one bit. Like, I don't envy the position these SEC lawyers are in defending all of this nonsense here. And they do control what they say. But if they're going to be honest, then they don't have a case. So that's the thing. Like, they have to be disingenuous. They absolutely have to, or they don't have a hope of winning. And then that could harm their careers, obviously. Like, so it's clear that there's self-interest at play here, but it's just a bunch of gobbledygook, which is a very fun thing to say. Say it with me. Gobbledygook. 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 It's a fun time. It's a fun time. It's always a good time here on the Moon Lambo channel. And so the most egregious thing here really is just that they're getting away from the mission statement of the SEC. That's what really steams my vegetables. They don't care about how XRP holders have been harmed. And fine, yes, the price of XRP's bounced back. But I still think it's suppressed compared to what it would otherwise be without the SEC versus Ripple action. And I also know for sure that tons of people panic sold on the way down, and they were financially harmed. And so fine, I held, and now it's not looking so bad in terms of price action compared to where it was before the news broke. But even though that's the case here, I still, like I said, I absolutely acknowledge that tons of people, who knows how many, untold numbers of people, in the many thousands, if not more, tens of thousands or more, I don't know what the number would be, frankly, hundreds of thousands, they were harmed, and they got out on the bottom. And I understand it's because they were intimidated by the SEC. Fully understand that. And then on top of that, again, of course, the price of XRP, I believe it's artificially suppressed right now. So now I don't think that means it won't go on a bull run. Don't know for sure. We'll see how this all pans out. I'm still optimistic for the long term, but the SEC, they're throwing some gum in the works here, obviously. And then somebody named James responded to John Deaton and wrote, "Hang on, I'm confused. On the transcript for the first motive, the SEC told the judge that only Ripple employees are violating Section 5, we are not." So, like, he means we as retail speculators. And then James wrote, "Now they are saying we are because of this intervention, proof that defendants offered and sold XRP. Make up your mind." Exactly. Well, that's because they're using some trickery there. And John Deaton was interviewed, and I watched a very recent interview from him. And one of the things that he cited in this hour-long interview was that clearly the SEC rather was speaking out of both sides of their mouth. And so he cited that Section 4, it only applies to securities, and technically XRP is not a security right now. The SEC is just claiming that. So when the SEC attorney Jorge Tenrero was citing that it's only Ripple and their employees that could have possibly sold XRP as a security, that's because Section 4, and he said that it was under Section 4 specifically. This is where the sleight of hand comes in. He's being tricky. He says that it only applies to he said Ripple employees and Ripple the company. But then he cited Section 4, and so he said under Section 4, that can't apply. Under Section 4, obviously, it can't apply to anybody else, like you and I, or exchanges, right? But again, Section 4 only applies to securities, which today XRP is not. So, if as a result of this adjudication here, XRP becomes listed as a security, then under Section 4, anybody that sells it absolutely could be in trouble, even if it's an exchange. That's the point that John Deaton ultimately made. And so he even said in this interview, he's like, look, I didn't want to rain on anyone's parade, obviously, with the hashtag relist XRP thing. He didn't want to be a sourpuss. I'm making that word up now. He didn't say that. But I get where he was coming from, and I can appreciate the sentiment. But John's right. And so I'm glad that he has publicly stated this. And of course, he wants XRP to be relisted just like I do, just like I'm sure you do. It's just a matter of like whether or not because have the risk dynamics changed for exchanges? Well, frankly, no. And so even though, you absolutely actually can have a coherent argument, like for instance, attorney Jeremy Hogan made a very cohesive argument indicating why exchanges should relist XRP. And all of those things were true before this most recent dialogue from the SEC, though. And so what I'm saying here is that nothing has fundamentally changed from the risk dynamics. Nothing has changed from a risk dynamic perspective for the exchanges. So even though it's arguable that it didn't make sense to halt trading in the first place, as far as relisting, no, there's nothing's changed effectively. That's what I got from John Deaton. I think I interpreted that correctly. And then there was this. And so for March 26th, there's this tweet. I'm just going to read the top part from John Deaton. He wrote, "The SEC objects to XRP holders' voices being heard in a case it allegedly brought on our behalf." And so I've talked about that in a couple other videos. And so not that I'm going to go down that rabbit hole. But my fellow XRP YouTuber, Crypto Eddie, retweeted that and wrote the following, which John Deaton actually jumped into. So I did want to highlight this. So this is from Crypto Eddie now. "Allowing XRP holders to intervene, so says the SEC, would create delay, complexity, and confusion. Quote, incalculable confusion, end quote, with unmanageable complexity that would bring the court's review and administration of the underlying actions to a halt." Then she wrote, "Keep it up, John Deaton, #justice for XRP." And somebody named Honest Abe, all up on the Twitters here, responded to Crypto Eddie and wrote, "Heaven forbid complexity gets in the way of justice." Which I need to heart that, actually. That's fantastic. I'm gonna heart all these. So yeah, look that. It's a little too hard. Things that are getting a little unmanageable, and there's just the incalculable confusion. It's just totally incalculable confusion. So it's just rather than have some justice, we just think it's just unmanageable. There's somebody on justice now. Oh, thanks, Mr. SEC, man. That made a whole lot of sense. Go away. No more Chewbacca defense. Seriously. John Deaton responded and wrote, "The SEC's claim that allowing XRP holders to intervene would cause delay or confusion or an avalanche of others seeking intervention might be the most laughable, outrageous claim it's made to date. And that says a lot." Oh, yes, indeed it does. And good times had by all. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, but I am out. Hot jam over. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.